Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled council meeting of December 20th, 2023. Let the record show all councilors are present. Deletes, bids and quotes, number 1A. Could I get approval of the agenda?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to approval of minutes. Approve the minutes of the Hibbing City Council meeting of December 6, 2023. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approve the minutes of the Hibbing City Council workshop of December 6, 2023. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to the approval of minutes of the special city council meeting of December 13th, 2023. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We'll move on to consent agenda. Approve accounts payable dated 12/15/2023, checks number 176152 through 176242 in the amount of $683,383.58. 2, approve the city payroll for the pay period ending 11/17/2023, comp and school payout in the amount of $101,629.87. Checks 12/1/2023, checks number 168861 through 168872 in the amount of $547,675.49. Wishes of the, accept and place on file the Hibbing Police Department November 2023 activity report. Number 4, authorize the promotion of Jim Sellis, the full-time battalion chief, firefighter, paramedic with the Hibbing Fire Department, effective January 1st, 2024. Authorize the promotion of Dustin Canary to full-time captain, firefighter, paramedic with the Hibbing Fire Department, effective January 2nd, 2024. Authorize the promotion of Whitney Galaski to full-time engineer, firefighter, paramedic with the Hibbing Fire Department, effective January 9th, 2024. Authorize the hire of Riley Lauren for the temporary rink attendant pending pre-employment contingencies. 8, offer resolution number 23-12-14, approving labor agreement and memorandum of agreement between the City of Hibbing and the Police Federation. Number 9, approve the new employee assistance program policy effective January 1st, 2024. 10, authorize the posting of a full-time equipment operator for the Public Works Department. 11, authorize the hire Isabella James for the temporary rink attendant pending pre-employment contingencies. 12, authorize the hire of Jared Sanborn for full-time maintenance position in city services effective December 21st, 2023. 13, authorize the Hibbing City Council attend the 119th Annual Chamber Dinner on Friday, January 26, 2024 at the Android by Boomtown. 14, set the next reorganizational and regular meeting on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Council chambers. 15, set the next City Council workshop for Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, following the reorganizational and regular meeting in the Hibbing City Council chambers. Wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read and published.
We have a motion by Councilor Hoffman-Sockman. Is there support? Support by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Anybody for public forum? Nothing's handy? All right, we'll move on to department committee reports. We'll first start with City Service Director, Mr. Arola.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, first one I have is looking for your approval on a 3-year agreement with Liberty Coin Inc. And this is for supplying and maintenance of 2 amusement machines at the Hibbing Memorial Building, the claw machines that are set up there now. Just looking for your approval on that. No commitment to us financially. A revenue split after expenses are paid for the merchandise and stuff inside is a 40-60 split, 40 to the city, 60 to Liberty Coin. So just looking for your approval on that.
Very good. Hearing what Mr. Rowland said about the amusement games at the Memorial Building, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney,
Support.
support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. B,
B, I would like to offer resolution 23-12-15, for the application and accept funds if awarded from the IRRR Recreation and Tourism Grant Program. Looking to go after this, grant to fund a potential new, stage trailer for the city of Hibbing. We did receive a grant from the Ben Owens Foundation, going towards that, so this would be going after this for looking for matching funds from the IRRR to move that project forward.
very good. Looking for resolution support for the new stage trailer.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
Support.
support by Counselor Hoffman-Sockman. Any discussion? I have one question, Nick.
Yep.
If this all goes through, you're looking to have this available by this spring or ordered out?
It may be a little longer than that.
Okay.
I know their build time is at least 6 months.
Okay.
Last time I talked to them, so it may be more likely the next year, but, as soon as possible.
All right, so this is a custom trailer rather than something you
Correct.
purchase? Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yea. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Nick. We move on to Community Development Director, Ms. Solivanti.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. It's a great evening here for the city of Hibbing as we're taking some big steps forward tonight on our housing. First, I wanted to draw your attention to the draft of the Local Housing Trust Fund ordinance that's in your packet. In January, we will consider this and take this up for action, so please read it through, review it, call me with questions, those sorts of things. I just wanted to get that out there tonight so that you have it and can look at it. And second, tonight we're going to receive and file the 2023 Comprehensive Housing Needs Analysis for Hibbing, Minnesota. This is part of the 2023 City Strategic Plan Core Strategy, which is well-rounded, strong quality of life, quality housing stock that is affordable and accessible. Tonight, before you, I am bringing that comprehensive housing study, and I have here with me in chambers our HRA Executive Director, Jackie Prescott, and I'd like to invite her up to come and talk a little bit about why the HRA and the City of Hibbing partnered on this large project. I'd like to introduce it by saying that this analysis projects housing need through 2035 and provides recommendations on the amount and type of housing that could be built across Hibbing to satisfy demand from current and future residents over this decade. The study identifies a potential demand for over 1,200 new housing units through 2035. Demand was nearly equally divided between general occupancy housing at 48% and age-restricted housing for seniors at 52%. You will see that tonight in the presentation by our consultant, Mr. Matt Mullins of Maxfield. And I'd like to invite Jackie to the podium to say a few words about why we collaborated on this project.
Thank you. Good evening, Jackie, and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for partnering with the HRA and moving this forward. As we all know, our housing stock does determine the success of a community, whether that be the health or the business community. With the whole city approach, we're able to identify what we have, what we need, and where we should go, which is really exciting. A lot of the market studies that I've seen as of late have been project specific. So Betsy and I had discussions about looking at a larger scale study so that we could actually see where those opportunities may lie. And it's just really exciting for me with the new leadership and the collaboration that we're able to move all of these things along. So the HRA does plan to use the information, as the community will as well, in our strategic planning moving here forward. So once again, I just wanted to thank you all for working with us on this very exciting project.
Excellent. So I did ask our marketing manager to put this study out on the city's website. So it is in the, Candy, is it called the newsflash area? On the homepage of the City of Hibbing's website. So anybody that is watching at home can follow along with this housing study. And I did email it out to the council and all of our leadership here at the city before this meeting tonight. And from here, I will be sending it out to developers, partners, bankers in the area, all sorts of things. So at this time, Mr. Workla, if our consultant, Mr. Matt Mullins, is available, I'd like to bring him up there. There he is. All right, Matt, can you hear us and see
All right,
us?
I can hear you great, Betsy. Can you guys hear me okay?
Fabulous.
Perfect. All right, well, fantastic. I'm gonna pull up my slideshow here, so hopefully you can see me and you can see the PowerPoint as well. So let's share screen. All right. Do you have share view? All right. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes,
Y'all
we
good
can.
there? Yes, no. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, all right, perfect. Yeah, sorry, I can't see anyone right now, so all I see is myself right now, so I have no faces to see. So, all right, we'll go with this. So, thank you, Betsy and Jackie, for the introduction there. Again, my name is Matt Mullins with Maxid Research. We're a real estate consulting firm located here in the Twin Cities, and we focus on feasibility work, market studies, et cetera, for real estate development. All property sectors, but housing is our bread and butter. And we do a lot of work with developers, investors, builders, landowners, in addition to working with a lot of cities like yourselves, pretty good at housing plans. That's what we're going to talk about tonight is kind of, I think Jackie summed it up great. What we have, where we're going, and where, where things need to go in the future based on the current housing stock and the housing needs of the community. So, quick background here. So, we started this process back in early part of the year. So we're almost Christmas time here, but we started this back in about the first, second quarter of 23, and we started collecting data at the time. We issued a housing survey back in August. If any of you guys see that, we did a pretty big blitz to the media to get that out. And then we issued a draft report in October. And here we are today to talk about the findings. Sorry about that, hearing my dog in the background. I think someone's at the door. So quick background here. So we had also completed some work back in 2005 and 2010 for the city. So way back when. And of course, looking at those past reports, I don't think a whole lot has been developed. I know not a whole lot that's been developed based on the demand we found back then versus the production that we've seen. Certainly, housing construction did not meet demand. As we look at where we're going today, we had the pandemic, and that certainly impacted the real estate market on all fronts. And we're in this real funky time today with, high housing costs, high interest rates, the hybrid work environment, and what's going to happen in 24, right? So the good news came out last week when the Federal Reserve, hinted, that is, that they're going to, potentially lower rates 3 times next year. We'll see how that evolves, but that will certainly have a major impact on the overall housing market if we can get the rates to come down and bring things more in line with where housing affordability needs to be today. So that's a quick background there. We'll kick things off just talking about the overall trade area. So whenever we do a market study, the first thing we do is to say, okay, what's your trade area or market area? And this is consistent with the previous housing studies we did back in 2005 and 2010. Because again, your demand comes from outside of Hibbing, right? So you're grabbing from a much larger geographic area. So we use this area as your prime kind of draw for housing in Hibbing. So I talk about the housing needs. I'm kind of talking a lot about housing needs in Hibbing proper and outside the the greater geographic area. Looking at population, I mean, there's nowhere to skirt it. Things peaked in the 70s and 80s, 40, 50 years ago, and declined quite heavily in the 80s, and then we've kind of been steady. So the good news is we've been steady, right? So over the past decade, they lost a tad, right? So overall, we feel pretty good about where we're at today. But as we dive deeper into the numbers, right? So we got where we at today and where we're going over the next 5 years. So similar to everywhere across the state of Minnesota today, we have aging population. As you can see in this chart, Hibbing is aging, and all the growth that we're seeing is people aging up, right? So people are, staying in place, and they're just, it's not necessarily new households, but a lot of it's just people aging through the various household cycles. So we see a lot of growth in a 65 plus demographic cohort, and some in the older millennials as well. You see that the oldest millennials now, are in their 40s. So that has some growth potential as well. And the youngest demographics as well, the Gen Zers, we do have some growth there. So, but the key takeaway here is at top of the chart, right? Senior growth. Now, taking a step further where we're at today, crazy number here. Look at your housing stock. 40% of your housing stock, whether it be owner or renter, are single person households. So big, big number. I think a lot of that too can be contributed to, you do have a lot of like Section 8 public housing, and a lot of those are, one bedroom units. So you have a lot of that product type. But as you look at that chart, whether it's an ownership product type or a rental, almost 3/4 of the population of households, that is, are 1 or 2 person households. So that's gonna, it leads to what are our housing needs, right? More, maybe we don't need a lot of large housing stock. Maybe it's, downsizing, right sizing, slab on grade construction, one level living, et cetera. So we'll talk about that. All right, so we kind of just hit the key product types: rental housing, the senior housing market, and then the for sale market, and give a quick, recap of what we found. So big picture. Big picture, we interview and contact all the property, rental properties in town. Now I'm talking multifamily structures, not talking one-off like single family, to get a sense of where rents are at, what's the vacancy rate, what's happening in the rental market, and overall we have a low vacancy rate. But I think it could be lower because there were some cases in that second bullet point there that shows that there are some vacant units just because there's no labor in town to improve these units, has to be pulled out of the supply, and they're not being rented. So, the vacancy rate could actually be lower than what we're showing there. As we look at the vacancy rate between market rate, meaning non-subsidized and not affordable, versus affordable subsidized, it's pretty low across the board. Not a whole lot of options. I'd say your housing stock is old, no question. Your rental stock is old. And sub 4% vacancy rate. So that indicates pent-up demand for new housing. And as we look at your affordable subsidized product type, we're still at equilibrium today. So hitting 5%. So that's where you want to be at today. So that's right, perfectly right where you want to be for that product type today. So we're sitting good today in that product type. All right. But what I really want to stress is this. So when we look at the rents of the market rate sector and you adjust them for based on area median income of what a person could afford, what's fascinating to me is really all of your market rate product, nearly all of it, is really affordable housing. Because really it's just the age of the structure, it's old product, maybe hasn't been updated, doesn't have today's amenities, tenant's desire. But 50% or less of AMI is where pretty much all your stock is today. So in the business, we call that NOAA stock, naturally occurring affordable housing. So that's good. That means your rents are low. The challenging part is you don't have nicer move-up rental stock, for people coming to town or who want modern amenities. At a minimum, people today want in-unit washer dryer and ideally covered parking. Those are, two things I think a lot of renters desire today as they look at new stock, and a lot of that just does not have those two amenities we have. So I think that's, it's good. It's a great number to see, but we do need more rental housing production in town, no question about it. All right, so talking about assisted living and the senior housing market, senior housing got smoked by the pandemic, right? As seniors were the most impacted by COVID and the pandemic, and senior housing is still recovering. Doesn't matter where we go today. Most senior housing facilities are still playing catch up from the lost occupancies and vacancies that occurred during the pandemic. So seeing higher vacancy rates is not, that bad, because we still feel like it's gonna be 2 more years to come back to pre-pandemic numbers in the senior industry. However, when we look at your senior stock, I was really stuck in 2 spots. You have a lot of assisted living, which is like 3 meals a day, weekly housekeeping, etc. And you have a lot of subsidized product type, but nothing in between. So we're missing independent product type, we're missing, memory care product type. There's a lot of opportunities out there for senior housing that's just currently not offered in the marketplace. So we'll touch on that a few slides down the road here when we show demand. You see the senior housing demand is like off the charts. So moving over to the for sale market. Again, like everywhere across the country today, low supply homes for sale, in part due to high mortgage rates. People don't want to give up the current mortgage rate. They're locked in at sub 3, sub 4%. No one wants to sell their home today. So not a whole lot of homes for sale, which has led to the new construction market is taking over a lot of the market share, so to speak. And not so much in Hibbing, but in most communities we work in today, spec builders or builders in general are building new homes because there's nothing for sale in the resale market. So we've seen this phenomenal transformation in the marketplace today where in most communities we work in today, most of the stock for sale is actually new construction, not resale. Because there's nothing for sale in the resale market, the builders are going to town and trying to deliver new product. So what's happened today is roughly 30% of most active listings are new construction, which is of course dropped the overall price, which is nothing for sale today in the marketplace. And the stuff that is for sale, we talk to realtors and feedback we received is, needs some updates, has deferred maintenance, at sub 150 price point. A lot of feedback we received was that it needs work, right? It needs a lot of work and some TLC to bring up to today's standards that most buyers desire for their home. New construction side is kind of interesting. On paper you have enough lots. So we'd like to say this. So most communities should have at least a 5-year supply of finished lots, meaning shovel-ready lots ready to build on. So if you're doing 8, 10 homes a year, then you'd want at least 50 plus vacant lots. So on paper we have 90 plus vacant lots out there. So that's technically meets demand. However, the question is, is it the lot someone wants? Is it a flat lot? Is it a desirable location? It may not be that lot that somebody wants, even though you have enough lots. So most of the new construction we see out there is certainly, build to suit for a move-up buyer. There's a few spec homes we found here and there, but not a whole lot for new construction. And I think that the one thing we heard time and time again from folks was just a lack of labor, right? Lack of construction workers, lack of subcontractors. A lot of these jobs just aren't in town. and they're working in the mines or somewhere else, and they're not necessarily in the trades. So that was definitely a theme we heard quite often. There's just a lack of, skilled labor in the trades that is tough to get, that subcontractor, the plumber, HVAC, drywall, or whatever it is, and just the lack of available labor. So then, of course, that drives up housing costs. So we did this survey back in the summertime. Just a quick, overview here. Great responses, right? We had over 400 responses in that survey, so I was very, very happy to see the feedback we had. And we had a ton of comments, which is great. I mean, people were not scared to share their thoughts, so that's good to see. But I mean, we have page after page after page after page of responses and comments from folks on the housing market. And here are just some of the takeaways. I just kind of summarized some of the themes we heard throughout the comments. I think the one comment that we heard time and time again was just old, outdated housing stock needs to be updated. That was a common theme we heard throughout the survey. Need for incentives, need for one-level living homes. We need a rental code to enforce rental ordinances. Things like that were some of the themes we heard. But again, there were pages and pages and pages of comments, and you can certainly go look at those as well in a separate document to see how people responded to that survey. But overall, I was happy to see 400 plus responses. That's pretty insane. So it's good to see. So Betsy had mentioned, we found 1,200 housing units of demand, which is fantastic. So tons of housing demand, right? So again, on paper, you have all this housing demand. The question is, are we going to get there? And that's going to be a challenge. But the demand is there for this product, and this is kind of how it shakes out. If we look at where the demand falls today, again, we're talking this decade into next decade, so some time frame here. But as it shakes out, fair amount of rental housing demand, almost 200 lots of single family demand, 60 plus of townhomes, and 117 of a shallow subsidy affordable workforce tax credit type projects. So now to dig it down some further into senior, again, remember that earlier slide I had about senior, and I showed all the demographics and the aging of the population. Well, the aging of the population is just really driving this. So you'll see where your demand is at, and again, no surprise, your demand is highest where you have no supply. So no supply in independent living, and really no affordable tax credit projects that are affordable senior deals. So strong demand for senior housing. It could come in a variety of formats, right? It could be, straight up rental unit to something with light services. But big picture, for this decade, we really see, it's the baby boomers are not going to need services to 2030 and beyond. So really, where we see the demand is an active adult living, independent living, more of a lifestyle choice, and not necessarily, super heavy skilled care that's, number one, super expensive, number two, normally wants to go to until they have to. So, but strong demand for pretty much all senior housing there. So now as we look at our recommendations for single family, again, like I said earlier, we have enough lots out there on paper. The question is, are they the right lots for buyers, right? Do they want to be in the country? Do they want to be in acreage? Do they want to be in town? A lot of factors at play. So I think we're sitting good on lot supply. However, I still think there's opportunity for more lots, don't get me wrong. But if someone wants to build today, there is ample lot supply to build. But I would say where the gap is, at least and the easiest product to build today is really like twin homes, slab on grade construction, villas, cottages, popular product type for any age, really, but really targets that 55 plus demographic. But builders can hit a home run on that product type, and it's just strong demand. And it's built more affordably because it's, no basement, slab on grade, maybe it's 1,200 square feet, and then they can bring those costs down to be a relatively affordable price point. So rental housing, again, we showed a ton of demand. Again, your rental product is super old. I mean, it's been decades really since you had new development and rental side. So across the board, you got rental demand, and it could be a variety of product types. It could be a vertical multifamily, it could be townhome style, row home, it could be twins. Heck, it could even be a detached single family type, right? That's strong demand as well. So rental demand is off the charts, so you have it for market rate, affordable, subsidized. Subsidized, I think you do have a fair amount of subsidized housing in town. Really, the emphasis should be on affordable, which is really workforce housing, like 50 to 60% AMI, and then the market rate as well. So those are kind of the two spots you really want to focus on. Because subsidized housing there's no financing out there today, and you just can't get it, a deal done when the federal government's not really involved in helping make those projects happen anymore. So back to senior housing, you do have a couple of senior housing co-ops in town. I think those are very, very well received. People love senior co-ops, but you'll see kind of where we recommend things. Again, it's pretty much an open door for any type of senior housing right now. And the need is there, the demand is there. And we'll talk about some of the challenges for developing this today, but the need is there, so that's the first step. So I'll talk about key takeaways, and we'll talk into kind of some implementation plan things you think about as how we get to meet this demand. So again, overall growth is flat. So we're flat for population. However, that's a good thing, right? After what we've seen for the past, 4 decades. Most of that growth is in the senior population. The good news is you're a major job importer. We have a lot of people coming into town every day. They're spending dollars, they're taking advantage of your healthcare, your retail, your restaurants, everything else during the day. So we do have a lot of people coming to town every day. And, we have more people coming in than going out, which is a positive for the commuter shed. But as we look at the rental market, again, super strong rental market, lacks new product. Your senior housing market is low. You could need more product there. The for sale market, we do see, a tough road ahead in 24. I think things get better in 24 for the for sale market. We should see rates come down a little bit, but it's going to be a tough road. And I think the key takeaway, at least for the development side, is the last bullet point today is, yes, we'll see some relief in 24, but, it's still expensive to build. Material costs, labor costs, everything combined, it's tough, right? And what we find from our clients today is, most projects, the lenders want, say, 40, 50% equity right now in a project. Top that off with these higher interest rates, and it's really going to slow things down in 24 because most developers, investors, or whatnot just do not have that kind of equity to put into a project when lenders have tightened the belt so much recently. So that's certainly the hurdle in the interim here. So as we talk about what we can do to implement some of these findings, right? So I kind of put it in 2 buckets. Number 1, the first bucket is, okay, we have existing housing stock. What can we do to improve it, right? And a lot of cities have different programs out there. This is just an example slide. of different things that they offer to the community to help improve the housing stock. Whether that's, you know what, we're gonna give you a low interest loan, fix your siding, fix the roof, get new HVAC, windows, whatever it is, right? So cities offer programs like low interest loans or first time home buyer assistance programs. A lot of tools out there that cities provide. But the caveat is, you know, where's the funds coming from, right? A lot of cities may have an HRA levy, HRA, EDA levy, but they help finance these programs. But there's a lot of programs out there, but you got to fund them somehow. So that's the challenge part, right? Is how you're going to fund some of these. But I think a lot of these can be done relatively affordable, right? You can have, you know, remodel or showcase, or you know, home improvement fair type of things like that. Very easy to do, you know, in the wintertime at the gym or whatever. So the flip side of this is, okay, this is like our existing stock to improve it. Now, what are we gonna do to improve supply side? Okay, supply side, a lot of things happening today. You know, to make things happen, the reality is today, most cities have to come to the table and has a public-private partnership to make a project happen in today's environment. A lot of things out there in the toolkit, but given the rent structure, where rents are at today, you know, Hibbing's they're right here at $1 a foot, and new construction costs is up here, how are we gonna fill that gap? So typically there needs to be some sort of a public-private partnership to help fill this gap. A lot of different ways you can do it. Number one way is probably TIF. I mean, most developers today in outstate Minnesota are probably getting TIF, you know, 15-year, 20-year TIF, to help offset those costs. But we're seeing a lot more cities today be flexible on, you know, park dedication fees, regulatory fees, building permit fees, and zoning codes too. Just maybe, you know, reducing the parking requirements or increase density in the site to help alleviate some of those costs, to help bring it closer in line with where, you know, the development costs can meet the end consumer for a product that can still move forward. So typically, like I said, we do work all across the state and the Midwest. A lot of cities are getting a lot more creative today to help make a public-private partnership work. And a lot of times too, the private sector contributes, right? I mean, a major employer in town says, we're gonna put money towards housing trust fund, or we're gonna supply materials, so we're gonna help you out, bring those costs down. So we're seeing a lot more private sector come to the table and help stimulate housing markets to try to bring those costs down as well. So that's, you know, whether it's going to Warroad, Thief River Falls, just on Laverne, Minnesota, opposite side of the state from you, but Laverne's doing some great things with some new projects that they have going on. And again, it's the whole toolkit, you know, to make it happen, make these projects pencil. So, you know, we're on top priorities. You know, as we look at the housing markets, we have all this demand, right? What are our priorities? Item number one, the key takeaway we heard over and over again was existing stock, right? Let's maintain our existing stock. A lot of ways we can do that, but I think just enhancements and you know, having programs out there to help bring up maybe some of the older stock so people continue to invest in their home and in the neighborhood. So that's a big one. Certainly need for more rental, more senior, more one-level living. And again, I'll stress the public-private partnership. I think it's a must to make something happen and to stimulate the market. And I would say too, if you have sites in town, right? Say you got a vacant piece of dirt, maybe it's zone multifamily, maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's a good redevelopment site. Issue RFP to the development community to see if you get interest and to get the conversation started on getting housing built. That's the key one there. Now, to add to, I think, some communities do a really good job having a one-stop shop, i.e., you're moving to town. What's the first spot you go? Do you go to the Chamber of Commerce? You call in the school district? You call in your church? Who's that first point of contact? Is it your employer? Someone's reaching out to before they move to town to help find housing. And, if you have someone take ownership of that, whether, at the city level, the Chamber of Commerce, HRA, it could be a variety of people that could, come together to make that one-stop shop happen so that there are resources for people, who want to buy a home, who want to rent a home, or whatnot. You just want to have a streamlined process for people to help find housing when they, want to relocate to town. So, and finally, I say just, continue to update your plan regularly. Every 5 years is a good benchmark to kind of update, where we're at, what got accomplished, and I always say, tell cities, track your building permits, track your new construction, what's happening today, and let's check it off, right? As it gets built, what's being produced against the housing demand we have to see where we're at, where are we, meeting that demand? Are we, are we getting close? Are we not getting close? Then you have a good benchmark as to, how we're doing to meet our housing demand. So that's the 10,000 foot level macro view of the market. I have a much bigger slide deck I shared with the HRA that we can share as well if you want to see a lot more slides. Again, huge study report. 200 pages, lot to digest. Not to be digested in one sitting by any means, but this is the high level overview of the market. So at this time, I guess I will stop my share, and I'm going to click it back over so we can open up for discussion. So let's see how this works here. Stop share. All
Excellent.
right.
Yes, we see you again, Matt. So
Oh, you
thank you
got
very
me back?
much.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
So,
All right.
Mayor, members of the council, do you have any questions for our consultant from Maxfield, Mr. Mullins, tonight? I know this was a lot of information to take in and digest, and we have a lot of work to do here, but wanted to open it up.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council.
First, thank you, Betsy and Matt and Jackie for the presentation. So I'm assuming there is a direct correlation between a city's healthy housing stock and economic development.
Yes.
So is our current housing stock diversified enough to attract new businesses and its workforce, and a workforce?
Yeah.
Mr. Mullins, do you want to jump in on that?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Happy to jump on that one. So yeah, no question. One of the things that we do as part of the process is contact employers, get some feedback to, do you have the ability to retain and attract employees for your place of employment? And does the housing stock impact that ability, right? So that's a question we ask. And the feedback we receive from both, local business owners and realtors as well, and we talked to realtors, was that clearly, yes, the lack of housing stock impacts recruitment for local employers. So no question, housing and economic development go hand in hand as far as which comes first, right? You need the jobs, right? But then you also need the housing stock because you can't fill those jobs because people want a place to live. So, based on your current, there's not a whole lot of options to rent in town, number one. And number two, is it a quality rental they want? And then is there a place to buy? There's not a whole lot of options. I mean, supply is at an all time, we're at a 40-year all-time low today for supply and affordability in the for sale market. So certainly it's a major impact on economic development, no question. Yep.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to say also thank you to Jackie, Betsy, and Matt. My question is regionally. I mean, we know where Hibbing's sitting right now. How do we stock up with other outstate areas, both in our region and regional, say, northwest, southeast? How do we compare with those areas with this study?
Yep, good question, Mr. Mayor. Yep, so I think, I have a lot of different thoughts on this. I mean, I think overall, your housing stock is very affordable. I mean, given your wages and the housing prices of your rental costs or for sale costs, your stock is rather affordable for the household incomes. I'll say that. Now, we're looking at other cities. I mean, again, we're doing work all across the state, every part of the state. I would say your housing production lacks, no question about it. You are not producing enough for sale housing or rental or all the above as far as production compared to most cities. And as I mentioned in that one slide about public-private partnerships, what I'm seeing more and more of today is these toolkits that are happening to help stimulate the market, right? So I'll go to Laverne for a minute. Again, Laverne, southwest part of the state, could not be further away from you. But I was working with the EDA for several years on some projects in town. And I'll take a good example. They had a commercial building that burned down, vacant commercial building downtown Main Street. So they put an RFP out to developers for free land to come build in our community. So they offered free land, they offered TIF, they offered tax abatement, they got Minnesota housing money and greater Minnesota housing money as well as some local businesses too contributed to that fund. So you had like literally 10 sources of funds and incentives to help make a project work in a small town of like 4,000. So you see more and more of that happen today where you see the public-private partnerships on top of, an incentive for the city to help stimulate the housing market. But, the reality is today, to build a Hibbing, a new apartment or any multifamily structure, for example, you're probably looking at, $175,000 a door to build that. Well, if your rent structure is as a $1.09 per square foot, again, that's older stock, you have a big gap to fill. So all these other cities are being proactive now, and they're saying, okay, we gotta, do something. We want to keep our city healthy and have, rental stock for people to move to town or before they buy, they want to rent. So rental housing has been a big focus in a lot of communities we work in because before they make that big purchase, they want to find that place to rent. So I'd say, across the region, across the state, you're definitely behind the 8 ball as far as production. We're doing 7-8 houses a year on average, a few multi here and there. But demand is substantially higher based on just replacement need and demographic changes. So production needs to step up, big time to stay competitive, right, with other peer communities that are going to be, offering new stuff. I was just talking to a city this morning, community city to Alexandria, and I've been doing some work at Alex. Alexandria's got like 3 projects going on now. Moving forward. Again, the city of Alexandria is offering some incentives as well, but that's 3 projects moving forward in Alex right now. That's a lot of production, right? In a town that size, that's a lot of new rental supply. But the need is there, demand is there, and they recognize it, and they're trying to stimulate the market by making things happen. So yeah, I think we really need to focus on how we're going to entice and attract, more housing production.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
Members of the council, I will just note towards your question about regional, and that focus, our executive director, Paul Peltier, is here from Rams tonight. We have been working in a, housing conversation, and we meet up weekly and talk through this issue to make sure that we are starting to develop the toolkit that will provide those, attractions to developers and things like that, but also Rams will be working to aggregate the housing need by offering up the cities of, who have done their housing studies and those sorts of things. So the city of Hibbing's housing study and the comprehensive need will be living on the Rams website as this moves forward in 2024. So there will start to be some of those one-stop shops for what is the need on the Iron Range, that sort of a thing. So we are working to do some of these things that Mr. Mullins has pointed out tonight. And it's all been because we've kind of had a sense that this is the direction we need to go. But having the comprehensive needs analysis, pointing it out very clearly and talking it in language that developers can understand is exactly why we did this study.
Betsy, can you explain, I know the IRRR too is looking at investing in workforce housing and stuff. Can you elaborate on what their direction is right now? So
Yes.
our residents can hear
Yes.
that?
Mayor, members of the council, as of July 1, 2023, the IRRR put a $5 million housing fund together that is historic for them. It's a brand new program that they just created based on the conversations that they're hearing at the same housing meetup that Paul Peltier and I are attending. So this fund is available for communities to develop new housing stock and, renovate existing housing stock and potential infill as well. So it's a unique and historic program for them. And as projects come forward, this is a pilot project for the IRRR, and as projects come forward, they will be looking at what does this need to look like for the long term? Is it continued, does it need to be continued past the 2023 fiscal year into the future, that sort of a thing.
Yes.
Just a quick question. Did I see right in the presentation that, did he say that we have a decent supply of lot availability for our near-term needs? Is that what I saw in there?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bayless, yes. He said that we have 90 lots for the near term available in the city of Hibbing. So there is lot availability. And as the city council, you are all aware that we are also developing an additional 70 acres for that next need. That won't be ready for another 12 to 18 months. So we're working closely with our realtors and brokers in the community to keep them aware. They're all waiting for the housing study as well so that they can send that out.
Okay, so that was my follow-up. That doesn't include the ones that we're looking to develop now.
Mayor, member,
Correct.
Bayless, no.
Okay, thank you.
Also, any other questions for Matt or Betsy?
One quick one, Mayor.
Yes.
Betsy, we mentioned like this toolkit that, will any like additional, like Matt talked about RFPs going out to developers, is that something we do, or is this part of this toolkit? Is this how we're selling to developers to come to Hibbing, come to build? Is it all in one, or are they separate entities, and are we like doing any kind of RFPs or how are we enticing people to come here and build?
Mayor, Councilor Whitney, when we develop our 70-acre site, yes, that will be sent out with the developer's booklet to explain exactly how the city council's vision is for that site and what kind of housing you'd like to see there and what we're defining from our current comprehensive housing study that we have assigned to that site. And then the housing needs analysis itself will go out to realtors and developers. I met with some this afternoon and I shared it with them to start that conversation. So there are folks that are interested in different portions of this housing needs analysis. And there are folks that concentrate on senior housing or folks that concentrate on single family, those sorts of things. So we're working with all of the different pieces of that development market so that we can have the conversation about which tool set is right for you. So in some cases, it will just be, we need to have lots and land available. In other cases, it will be, we need a redevelopment TIF, or we need a 10-year TIF on this project, those sorts of things. Some will also require that local housing trust fund, as Mr. Mullins talked about with rehab of existing stock. And I've worked with our Public Works Director, Mr. Story, on, the sewer lateral ordinance that went out at the beginning of 2023. As the equity in homes starts to not be available to lend towards the replacement or work on those sewer laterals, our local housing trust fund will be able to play a role in that situation as well. So we've been working on several fronts to design what that toolkit looks like to attract developers into the community of Hibbing, so that as we are ready, the projects will be there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Fossil.
Maybe just one question or a comment. So the 90 vacant lots that we have now, and I think one of the remarks in the report was some of those have been plotted for greater than 10 years. Is there anything that we can do in our toolbox for the near term to maybe make those 90 lots more more desirable?
Mayor, Councilor Faso, at this point, I don't know, because folks aren't necessarily coming forward saying, here's the reason I'm not building on that particular lot. So I would encourage developers who are looking at those lots, if they have concerns about them, to bring them to us. I do know that as Executive Director of our HRA, Jackie Prescott, and myself have been working together to move forward on her redevelopment project in her Greenhaven area, that we have been doing a phase 1 and a phase 2 in certain areas, and we've been looking at what's the right size and what can we move forward on, and finding some issues here and there. I will also note that on our 70-acre hill site, as we moved that through phase 1 and phase 2, we had to enter that into the voluntary, into the VIC program to get a construction contingency letter, to get site certainty around that particular development, so that as we move that forward, there is some things that developers have as knowns. So we remove some of the unknowns around what does it look like to develop on that property, and that will then move those things forward. So yes, there's a few things that we do know and a few things that we're working to uncover as we move forward.
Thank you.
Councilors, any other question? Betsy or Matt? Jackie? Hearing none, Betsy, yourself, Jackie, and Matt, thank you so much for the presentation tonight. I think, it's exciting news of hopefully where we can go in the future, and creating new housing stock and renovating some that we already have. So thank you so much for the presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brandon. Thank you, council members. Happy holidays to you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
All right, we'll move on to Chief of Police, Mr. Esty.
Mayor and Council, good evening. Tonight I have a joint powers agreement for you and the city clerk to sign. This would be the BCA's anti-heroin task force. What this gives us an opportunity to do is investigate these types of cases and then submit for reimbursement through the BCA.
Very good. Hearing what Chief Esty had to say regarding joint powers agreement, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless. Support?
Report.
Support by Councilor Hoffman Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on then to bids and quotes. We'll start with number 2, with one being deleted. City Service Director, Mr. Arola.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Looking for your approval to pay an invoice to Iron Range Plumbing for 2 furnace replacements at the Greyhound Bus Museum. We had 2 furnaces budgeted for next year's capital projects, but we were forced to move up that timeline this fall. We were having some issues, and the amount of money we were going to put in for replacement components just didn't make sense, and we needed to move forward with an emergency replacement of both of those original furnaces for that building. So looking for your approval to pay that existing invoice that we have with Iron Range Plumbing of $10,722.31.
Okay, I'm looking for support to pay for furnace replacement at the Graham Bus Museum.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
I'll support.
support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Mr. Esty again.
Mayor and council, tonight I'm looking for the approval to purchase 3 Chevrolet Traverse squads. These will be for our investigative unit. Initially, we were gonna get these 2024s, but through the vendor, I found out the price would go up 7,000 per squad. So I chose to go with 2023s instead of 2024s. With that kind of savings, I figured it was well worth it. So looking for council approval in the amount of $121,920.
Okay, looking for support for purchase of 3 Traverse squads. Wishes of council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney,
Support.
support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Chief, I appreciate that going to 23s with the savings for the city. Still getting brand new vehicles.
Correct.
Say 23, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to Finance Director, Ms. Mulner.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Item A, I'm asking City Council to authorize the sewer credit request of Junction Car Wash in the amount of $19,166.55. It was brought to our attention by both the PUC as well as the Junction Car Wash that the sewer flow meter that was installed years back by the prior customer wasn't ever calibrated and it wasn't working properly. Junction Car Wash has been getting billed for more sewer units than the units of water that were coming in through the water meter in the building. He is requesting that the bill be adjusted to what the water meter readings were. This is the way that the city would have billed Junction Car Wash if there never was a sewer flow meter in place. So he wants to adjust it to what the bills would have been had that been the case. So I'm asking for City Council to approve the credit.
Okay, we're looking to authorize sewer credit for Junction Car Wash. Wishes of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Counselor Hoffman-Sockman,
Support.
support by Counselor Whitney. I have one question in discussion. I'm sure there's a new meter that's in place.
He wants us to use the water meter going forward and not use
Oh, the water
sewer.
meter rather than the sewer. Very
Yeah.
good. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to B, Ms. Muller.
Item B, I'm asking for approval of an additional module to our UKG agreement. This would be for ACA or Affordable Care Act reporting. We've been building our software now for a few months, and we didn't realize at the time that we purchased it that we didn't have ACA services in the modules that we purchased. They have an additional module for that. The price would be $1,000 for the implementation, and then 31 cents per person per month with a minimum monthly maintenance fee of $40.30 a month. So I'm asking for council to approve the additional module.
Okay, so you're looking for additional module for UKG agreement. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
Support.
support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Nothing for boards and commissions. We'll move on to license and permits. Approve the raffle permit application request of Masaba Concert Association to hold bingo on February 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. I think that it says 114. Is it 11th or the 14th?
14th, please.
Okay. For February 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th, 2024 at the DUU. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Hoffman-Sockman.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to approve the 2024 on-sale Sunday liquor license renewal pending current taxes, utilities, and insurance. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3, approve the 2024 off-sale liquor license renewals, pending current taxes, utilities, and insurance. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney. Support. Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approve the 2024 off-sale brew pub license renewals pending current taxes, utilities, and insurance. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Counselor Schweberger,
Support.
support by Counselor Hoffman Sockman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 5, approve the 2024 wine on-sale liquor license renewals pending current taxes, utilities, and insurances. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 6, approve the 2024 club on-sale liquor license renewals pending current taxes, utilities, and insurance. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Counselor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 7, approve the 2024 3.2 beer on-sale liquor license renewals pending current taxes, utilities, and insurance. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Hoffman Sockman.
Support.
Support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Say aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Number 8, approve the special event permit application of the Hibbing Quarterback Club to hold their youth football beanbag charity event on Saturday, May 4th, 2024 at Palmer's Tavern. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor was that Hildebrand? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 9, approve the raffle permit application request to Hibbing Quarterback Club to hold their raffle on Saturday, May 4th, 2024 at Palmer's Tavern. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
Support.
support by Counselor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 10, approve the 2024 AM liquor license renewal of Mike's Pub BTL Incorporated. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Hoffman Sockman,
Support.
support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 11, approve the raffle permit application request of the Hibbing Boys Hockey Club Incorporated to hold a raffle on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2024 at the Hibbing Memorial Arena. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
it reads the 13th, February 13th,
Oh,
not
what
the
did I
3rd.
say?
The 3rd.
Third, okay, February 13th, 2024 at the Hibbing Memorial Arena. You'll still go with your motion?
Yes.
And support?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to discussion. 1 is parking enforcement.
Mayor and city councilors, tonight we're having a follow-up discussion regarding parking, which we had in the month of November when people came to talk during the public forum. Steve and I both have some things that we got together. There were 4 or 5 of us that got together and talked about everything from safety to plowing to what's going to be best for the city. And we feel that we're going to start with, we're going to pull the signs that say calendar parking around town because it's confusing. So if we pull those and we put them at every entrance into Hibbing, noting that's what it is, it's going to make a bigger difference. And you kind of think, oh, is it? Because you're pulling them down. But if we don't pull the signs down, if they're not in a certain area, the police department, it has a harder time enforcing if there aren't signs, or if there are in some and not in others. The signs that we're gonna have constructed will say we have calendar parking with the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. And so it would be calendar parking even in odd days. There will not be signage on the streets and avenues for calendar parking. We will get the information out on our websites, social media, the radio, and we'll look at getting maybe a good article in the paper with Jesse White. So that is, we're trying to get all of it out as many different ways that we can. We agreed that there should be a few exempt avenues or streets. So the ones that we know should be exempt would be First Avenue, from Howard Street to Hematite or 41st, however you read it. First Avenue from, First Avenue frontage road from 31st to 37th. So between 31st and 37th, you have that big boulevard. And by taking that away, right now it reads where the people who are on the main First Avenue and on the frontage road should be parking on either even or odd on, against the boulevard, which actually becomes a safety concern. And the way that we talked about it with Public Works, it's easier if we leave them on their separate sides. So that was the reason for those. So this would be the third one would be Howard Street from 3rd Avenue West to 12th Avenue East. And that will take care of, just keeping that exempt means it's not considered county parking. But if, the next part of what we want to change or add to the ordinance would be no parking from 3 AM to 7 AM. And this will change a lot for when our officers are out. If it's 3 AM to 7 AM, they're probably going to move them earlier than that. So it's going to be easier for ticketing or towing. They shouldn't have to because they should already be off the streets. On just those same First Avenue from Hematite to Howard, Steve and Jim Watkins both decided that the frontage road didn't need to be included in that, but 3rd Avenue West from 3rd Avenue West to 12th Avenue East on Howard Street. So it's kind of a two-part. Is there anything you want to add to that, Steve?
No, so the biggest reason for that no parking during those hours on that main street is because that's when Public Works will address snow removal and sweeping. And that's kind of their main route for that area right when they get going in the. A lot of other cities do that on their main street as well. Virginia does it, Grand Rapids does it, so does Chisholm. They just don't let people park there during those hours because most people are home at that time anyway. Businesses are not open. So it gives Public Works the opportunity to plow in the winter and then sweeping and stuff in the summer.
Then the third part to what we wanted to change in the ordinance would be no parking signs on 19th Street from First Avenue to 4th Avenue East. First Avenue East, or the main First Avenue to 4th Avenue East. The street is narrow and we get a lot of parking all the way down to 4th Avenue. So it is also going to be, a safety, so we can get safety vehicles through, and also for plowing and sweeping.
Everybody's not sure where that is, by Yoder, all the way down to the Howard there. It's that real narrow area. You got Yoder backing in and out of there oftentimes, and then you got additional parking, and it creates a lot of safety issues.
Just a thought to extend that one more block, 'cause that's where the wood trucks come in to load the boiler at HPU. Extend it one more block, it takes all the parking out of that traffic too. So extend it down.
Kind of where it curves.
All the way to, would that be to 6th then?
No.
Or 5th?
Fifth.
5th, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very narrow area through there.
Yeah.
A lot of accidents over the years coming off the 2nd and on to there. So our hope is that if we don't let people park there at all, that
So just be clear on the, use Howard, for example, there was no parking on either side between 3 and 7?
yep.
So anybody that's got an apartment on Howard Street, you're parking the side roads. I had heard of that being a concern in the past as far as getting ticketed parked in front of their, blame the people if they have a building in the middle of the block, then they have to go one way or the other to try to find some place to park, so that could be an issue for the residents down there. Or any other area where you park it, and a home.
I have a follow-up question on that too then. So say, are you gonna be towing between those hours then, if they park down there?
Only during the snow events.
Okay, ticketed otherwise, but
Yeah.
towing during the snow?
Yeah, if it's in the middle of summer, we're not gonna tow for that because it's not an emergency type of situation where they're coming out to plow. They won't have the street.
So if you're a responsible, person that's enjoying one of the local bars and you decide to leave your vehicle downtown, you're gonna get a ticket for it?
Unless you park on a street.
I mean, if you're,
Yeah.
Yes.
yes,
And I mean, just so everybody knows, this is a discussion. And the big things we took into consideration, for one, was public safety. The biggest reason is a fire truck. You know, we have Angela here, he can confirm, fire truck cannot get down a lot of our streets if we don't enforce calendar. And then the number two reason was obviously our Public Works Department for snow removal, sweep.
So if we have a, let's say Highland Drive, because they have all their mailboxes on one side, so if there's calendar parking, then that interferes with the postal service delivering mail. So, should we maybe look at that? On Highland Drive, when you're going up the hill, a lot of the mailboxes are on one side of the street. So if you have calendar parking up there, then it takes those cars and puts them in front of the mailboxes, and then people will not be able to get their mail.
Is there a lot of street parking up there? I never noticed. So you live
There
up there, so-
there is, yeah.
That's weird. Every house has a driveway and a garage. Why are they
But,
parking on the
but
street?
you have company come or whatever, I mean, they're, and then the other, street is 8th Avenue, was intended to be an alley, I think that was where you grew up.
Yep.
Maybe behind there, and that's very narrow as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and 8th Avenue it's an alley.
It's an alley,
Yeah, it's-
so, it's an alley, so, I think, and people seem to park there, and then they have their parking, trailers and stuff along the side there. But, so, I mean, just to think about, I don't know how we address that with the mailboxes.
Counselor Hoffman Sacman and Mayor and Council, one thing that we did talk about was, do we go by the grid? Do we take neighborhoods? Do we, it's really hard to take a neighborhood because then you're either playing favorites or, you know, I mean, we have racked our brains over this because it's really hard because everybody has their reason for not parking somewhere or why they can't.
Yeah, and so that's, you know, we've been getting the calls of, oh, I haven't gotten a parking ticket in 20 years, why am I now? Well, because we had other complaints of folks in certain neighborhoods saying, hey, I'm getting a parking ticket on 7th Avenue, why aren't you addressing Greenhaven? Why aren't you addressing Glacier? So it's kind of a catch-22, and we feel, you know, if we're gonna do one neighborhood, we should do them all. Just to be fair and, you know. So that's why, yeah, you know, Greenhaven and Glacier, those weren't hit a lot before, but complaints came in like, hey, we're getting hit here, why aren't they? It's really no different.
Chief, how are you gonna address, our three busiest facilities would be the Lincoln, the high school, and the Memorial Building for events. How are you gonna address that? Because any big event, there's people on both sides.
So like in the evening hours, parking enforcement is rarely done unless it's complaint driven. So like, the parking gals right now, they usually work from 7 to 3. So your big events and that type of stuff are in the evening hours, we're not out doing parking.
So that if that car's still there at 7 to 3, that's when they're gonna would have an issue of parking, or if they're on the wrong side.
Yeah,
But during a big event, because you know, the high school has no parking.
yep.
Memorial Building doesn't have enough parking. And of course, Lincoln kind of does. But I just want to make sure that those events, granted, if there's an emergency or big snow, usually most things get canceled anyway, so it isn't that big a deal. But I just want to make sure that our events, that's our tourism, that's our economic drive, people in our community.
And as far as events go during the day, like when the schools have bigger events going on during the day, concerts, whatever, they've been reaching out to us, giving us a heads up, hey, so then we know to avoid during the day. When there are big events like at prom,
Yeah,
or,
right.
that type of stuff. They call us, let us know, hey, we got this event going on. Okay, no problem. We're doing calendar parking.
Well, definitely all those events, you know, that 3 to 7 timeframe, most cars should be gone by then.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the event is over, so, very good.
And Mayor, the other thing that we had talked about was with the Memorial Building parking lot, and we have not addressed it with Nick yet, although I think he's been on top of it already, but really trying to keep that kind of partitioned off where the students, they literally will, you know, park in one area so that, you know, the church right across the street or even Assumption, they will use, you know, some of those side streets, and it's really nice for them to have a little bit of room, plus the veterans,
Yeah.
and anything
And
that's going on at
tourists or
the.
senior
the-
center.
Yeah, at the Memorial Building, but we haven't kind of finalized that yet, but we're still working on it. It's just the snow, I mean, thankfully, we haven't had any snow yet, but we were just trying to get a better feel for, you know, what we need to do and how then it can be upheld.
Any other question you have with the changes that you're proposing? You talked about new signage at the entrance into we have many entrances, of course, so there'll be quite a few signs, but what is the timing on having those completed, installed? Because those would be state-installed signs, meaning they would be city-installed signs, because a lot of them are state roads, which we can't actually put the signs in. We'd almost have to work with the state to do that. So before we can move to step 2, we better make sure we have enough time with step 1.
Correct.
So the information that's out there is in the many areas that you recommended that you're gonna put the information out. But I just wanna make sure there's always gonna be someone that's gonna say, well, it wasn't on Sirius Radio, and I've had that said to me. So, but we can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
But we do wanna be in as many places as we can and educate the public as much as possible.
Correct, and I don't think that we will pull signs until the main signs
Okay.
are constructed. Mhm.
If you pull the, sorry. If you,
Yes,
if you pull, you're pulling all the 6 PM signs on on each block, how do people know what's the odd and the even side then? Like where to park? Like, my rationale when people say, I got a ticket, and like, well, you're parked right under a sign that said no parking, but if there's no ticket, there's no signs there, how do you know what the days are, or what's?
It almost seems like those signs are more confusing for people, the complaints we kind of get. Whereas the ordinance reads, 6 p.m., like tonight at 6 p.m., you got to switch for tomorrow's date,
Which is odd.
which is odd. Or if you look at the sign, people are like, they almost get more confused. I feel like if they see it on their street, if you want to explain the one.
So.
The gentleman.
Yep, we have a gentleman
Access.
who lives on the corner of Hematite and Third Avenue. So his address is Third Avenue, but the front of his house is considered on Hematite. So when his complaint was, he got a ticket and he was actually on the correct side for the number on his house, but Hematite reads, he's on the even side here, but the odd side here. So it was very confusing. So then he goes, I don't even know where I'm supposed to park,
Where we're talking north, south, east, west, basically. And I think that's what Chris is asking. Is east, is it odd,
No, it goes
or
by.
just by day?
Your number, house number.
House number, oh, yes, okay, there you go. Well, that's still east, west.
Yeah, the house number on say X, Y, and Z side is odd.
Yep.
Tomorrow's date is odd.
Oh, no.
That's the side you gotta park on. Yep.
Yep.
So people will have to understand that going forward without any kind of signage, like that's.
Yeah, and that would be how we would get the word out between the newspaper, the radio, social media, our website, plus the signs, because it's going to be listed on the signs.
Could we use a PUC with this in the information when we send out? I mean, that goes to every.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we found, looking around, there are a lot of streets that don't even have signs.
Yeah.
So from Jesse's perspective, if we want an even game and we have to go sign every street, we're gonna go broke. where if we do the entrances and then we work with our entities and get out the information to the people that way, it's gonna go a lot farther.
And I've seen many communities with the entrances coming in that I've noticed.
I actually just noticed it for the first time the other day, and I saw it and thought, boy, we should do
Yeah.
that. Because it makes a lot of sense to just post it when you come into town, yeah. I like that idea.
Just as long as everybody knows, like, so when the signs are gone, know how to park, and if we get that out, awesome. Because
And the gal
like in
said-
Rapids, it says winter parking enforced when you pull in, come into Rapids. And I don't think there are any calendar parking street signs anywhere in Grand Rapids, so I get it, yeah,
So,
as long as they're well educated.
just a small personal item on it. If somebody's gonna use it, like where I live in Sargent Addition, there's only one side, and then there's no odd side, or there's no even side, actually. So when we send out the letter, please clarify, just park on the other side. Because there's no even house numbers, they're all odd, so.
Well, that would kind of be like the frontage road of First Avenue, where
Yeah,
you have the
same
boulevard
thing.
where Frank Hibbing is.
Or just put no street parking there, because really, none of us, I think I'm the only one that parks on the street. But I don't have to, I can park in my driveway.
Well, our real suggestion we wanted to do was like Grand Rapids and no street parking
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
But we know that's not possible.
We appreciate you not coming up with that idea.
All right, counselors, any more questions for Candy or the chief regarding parking and where we're moving towards? Hearing none, I thank you both for a great report, and we'll move on now to the annual report with Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. So last meeting of the year is this evening. And our longstanding tradition, second year in a row anyway, is to deliver our annual report to our city council and our residents. So in my hand and on your desk, I have this copy if you want to follow along. In addition, for our residents that are at home watching the broadcast, they can go to our website. We've already posted it there. And I think it's on some of our Facebook page and some of the other social media platforms. So, annual report, a report on the things that we've accomplished during the year. And then also, we look at this as a report card, reporting not only to our city council, but our residents on how we're performing. And I'm gonna cut right to page 3, which is the wrap-up of our strategic planning, which happened way back in April. City council got together with staff, and we spent 4 or 5 hours, whatever it was, putting together our strategic plan, including our core strategies. And I won't go through these verbatim, but I would encourage our residents to go ahead and take a look at them. There's 6 core strategies. Very good for our community to have those strategies in place. I would point to page 4, which comes out of our finance department. A couple of things I want to point out here. Our return on investments has been very good the last year. Year over year, another $1.3 million just on our investments. And then we also have a lot of cost-saving measures that we've been implementing, especially in 2023. You can kind of see what the numbers are there. Cost savings, $230,000 in 2023. And remember, those savings will be every year after. So it's substantial. I would go ahead and ask you to turn to page 5. So this is an overview of the dollars that have come in to our community from outside sources. So maybe a different way to say it, outside funding sources, not Hibbing levy tax dollars. I would like to point to the bottom line number, which is about $16 million. We're pretty proud of that as staff. I'm sure you are too. And I'm just going to point to a couple of the outside funding sources. The Hibbing Foundation, Minnesota State Aid, Minnesota Deed, Municipal State Aid, the Central Range Pickleball Association, Minnesota DNR, St. Louis County, IRRR, Owens Foundation, Blandon Foundation, and then I would point to the $10 million legislative ask that we received during the session last year. So I would point to, or to have you turn to page 6. This is our report to the city council from the city services department. Phase 2 construction of the Hall Rust Mine View is ongoing. Our Hibbing Municipal Golf Course saw an increase of 1,100 rounds played for a total of 10,630 rounds in 2023. And then another project which we're very proud of is the pickleball courts, which are going to be opened up in the spring once we get our punch list items done. And one thing to look forward to in 2024 is our Park and Trail Master Plan, which we'll kick the year off with in January to roll that out to the city council and start implementation plans on that. Page 8, just a quick little overview of building and housing. I would point your attention to the total building permits, 278 in the 23. And this is a snapshot, so it's not the total number for 2023, but adding $52.5 million of additional value to the bottom line of our community. Pretty impressed with that, which goes really well with what Betsy rolled out and Jackie for our housing studies. So pretty excited about that. So if you want to go to page 10, our library, we saw circulation totaling about 34,000. They had a really neat community outreach this year. They hosted the Juneteenth celebration. It was a project that our library personnel put together. They hosted it at the library in City Hall in the courtyard. Moving on to page 11, report from our police department. We saw about 17,000 calls for service. We also know that they have been really working hard on blight. And this is a collaboration, police, housing, public works. But they did address about 300 blighted properties, of which 25 we cleaned up as a community. So we're pretty proud of that. We continue to get a lot of feedback on, you're doing a great job, keep it up. We know that there's a problem out there and we're trying to address that. And then the last thing I'll mention to you is our citywide cleanup day, hugely successful in 2023. In 2024, June 7 and 8 will be our citywide cleanup. So mark your calendars. Moving to page 12, I would just point to a couple of the call statistics. 282 fire responses to date, about 2,200 emergency medical responses, and about 2,500 emergency 911 responses. I would also like to make sure that our city council and our residents know that our outdoor warning signal, the siren system, will be up and running. Well, we're pushing really hard to have that ready for the Weather Awareness Week, which comes to us the week of April 8th. And we will be testing that as a lead up, but we will be ready for the Weather Awareness Week with that siren system. I'm gonna take the engineering and public works and waste collections all together. Street paving, we rehabbed about 5 miles of streets. We did crack filling in about 20 miles of our streets, protecting those assets. We rehabbed about 2 miles of sanitary sewer mains. And I would also like to point out, and this is kicking off in 2023 here, but will be really coming to life in 2024. We know that our alleyways are in poor condition. We know that's our top call when people have a complaint. We are working on a capital plan for that. We will initiate that and implement that as soon as possible, likely in 2024, but I want our residents to know we are working on that. Moving to page 15, remember we hired a fleet manager, and I really like the way he started his report. We've hit the ground running, and he has. We've seen Joe in here many times. So he's working on a capital plan. And also, he's really working hard on our sanitation department, creating efficiencies. I know there's a lot of collaborating going on there, but wastewater treatment plant, remember year-to-date, we are treating about 689 million gallons of water. Community development, and Betsy was collaborating with Jackie on the housing study. A couple of the things, she's continuing to work on the Highland Hills project. We know that's needed. She's launched new funding for investments into buildings on Howard Street. And as mentioned, the housing study. So from our HR department, a couple of things. We've been really working hard on enhancing our talent acquisition. We've been launching initiatives, educational for our employees. We've really started with our safety training. We think that's probably one of the keys we need to hit hard. But the point is we want to invest in our employees, I should say. Important because we want to retain those employees, and you do that by investing, and there are other ways to do that. But quick report there from the Human Resources Department. And 17 to the end, we've added our community partners edition this year. So page 17 is a nice broad overview of the Hibbing Public Utilities. The Range Regional Airport is included, the Hibbing Chamber of Commerce, the Hibbing Historical Society, and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority of Hibbing. In the interest of time, I didn't want to go through this verbatim. Many of the people that are responsible for this report are in this building tonight. They're the people that brought all of these things together. But I will say one last thing about the people that have worked on this report. All of our employees, 134 plus employees, have a part in doing this work. This happens to be the things that kind of rose to the top, the most important. There's way more detail. I could go on all day and all night about it. I won't, as fun as that sounds, but I would open it up for some conversation from the city council, questions, anything you want to give us feedback on, or your constituents. Now would be the time to do that.
Greg, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
Greg, is this something where that can be shared? Is it going to be on our website or?
Great question. Short answer, yes. We did email a copy out. Please share it with anybody and everybody, and we will be pushing it out to partners, stakeholders. It's on our website, some of the social media platforms. So please do so.
A lot of people say, what have you guys been doing? What's your plans? What's going on next year? This would be a great way to get that out.
Please do that, and we'll do the same. Staff will do the same.
Thank you.
Nice job, I guess.
Yes.
Just amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's,
to everyone.
Complete report. Greg, I really appreciate it. The one point you mentioned, outside dollars, the 16 million, and then you look at our PFA that we just got working with the PUC. The Android project, which was just approved with this huge, that was what, 11.3, Betsy, I think, was that what it is? Betsy? 11.3, was that the Android project?
I think.
Okay. So a lot is happening, and this is a great snapshot for people, I think, very easily to understand, put together really well. And you're right, it is just our second year of seeing this, but it's one of the finer documents, I think, that our residents could look at and be proud of.
I concur. Thank you.
Councilors, any other questions for Greg?
I just had one comment.
Yes.
I really, the impactful part of this for me that just struck me that I've never seen before is the impact that our, the summary on building and housing and the asset return. That was pretty neat to see, and I have not seen that before, so I appreciate that being included.
Welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm looking for is a motion. We need to go to closed session. I'm looking for a motion to go to closed session, and then we'll have a motion for adjournment, so we won't have to come back after. So I'm looking for a motion for the purpose, closed session for evaluating the performance of our city administrator, Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Counselor Hoffman Sockman.
Support.
Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you so much.